Hopefully, more people show up as we are talking today. So let's look and see who we got here. Okay, I see Selena. You're in the room. Where you at? Let's see. Yep, over there in the corner. All right, Selena, do me a favor. Step up here. And let's see if my talk to text is working still. It should be. All right. So, this young lady right here is half illithid and half elf. Okay. In fact, the illithid that is her mother is Drusilla. Okay. And then, right? Yeah. Who is already an aberration. She was born instead of created. As most of you know, the illithid are a parasitic race, and they are a they start out as a small tiny worm that goes into your ear or your eye or your nose, etc., etc., eats your brain and turns you into a monster. Okay? But they are capable, because they develop bodies, they are capable of standard, normal hominid procreation. It's just it's rare. Okay? It's a rare event because generally speaking, they lose. Uh, how do I put this? Hominid desires and emotions. Yeah, I can put it that way. All right. Um, oof. It is obviously. Hmm. Sorry, I'm just noticing that the talk to text immediately goes up into my IMs instead of down here where it's supposed to. So I'm gonna have to be more observant. So anybody who sends me a message, you are not gonna get a response while I'm doing this. Okay, so maybe I have to keep this. I have to keep my cursor. Maybe I have to keep my cursor down here so I can stay rolling. Okay, my apologies. Anyway, so this young lady right here, she is half elven and half illithid because her mother is the illithid that was rescued from the consortium. Okay, everyone's familiar with that, right? Or is anyone not familiar with it? Okay. Is anyone not familiar with who Drusilla is? Dun, dun, dun. Drusilla. It says on here Ascilla, but that's not correct. It's Drusilla. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. I'm not seeing any answers, so I'm going to assume that everyone knows. I'm going to assume everyone knows who Drusilla is. Yes? No? Maybe? This is your opportunity to speak up so I can explain. I know Jill Thorne knows, for sure. And Joel Air? Okay, good. Okay, at least somebody. All right, thank you for speaking up so I can tell you. Okay, so Drusilla is an illithid that was part of the consortium, but she was aberration because she, like I said, she was born instead of created. And so she was misshapen and not automatically connected to the group mind. Okay? She could connect to it because she's a powerful telepath, but she was not automatically connected. Now, a lot of things happened, and she became excellent at, how do I put this? Um, Torture. Yeah. And so that's the job that was given to her. Okay. Subsequently, when the one of the Blood Knights, anybody know who he is? Correct, Billweller. When one of the Blood Knights was captured, she was assigned to torture him and find out the secrets that a Blood Knight might know. Okay? Which are pretty high, right? Because of their job. But what they did not know is that she wasn't actually a bad guy. Okay? They thought she was one of them because she's so good at keeping herself hidden. Anyway, so when a combined force went in to rescue Balewaller, they also rescued her. Okay? And something they did not know is that prior to Bellwaller, there had been another elf that she had been assigned to torture, shall we say. And even though he was only there for 2 weeks, inside the mind, that, or 3 weeks, my apologies, that 3 weeks was 30 years. Okay? And in that 30 years that they lived together inside his mind, they fell for each other. Okay? Because in his mind, she did not look like an illithid, you know. She looked like the way they wanted her to look, the way that he and her, the way she chose to look, shall we say. So they got together physically out in the outside world, outside the mind, and they had a child. Okay, that child, when she was still pregnant, she left her left the headquarters and went out to the salt flats to a harpy enclave. Okay, and bore the child, and the child was raised among the harpies. The harpies are mages and thieves because that's how they survived, right? And so they taught her to be a mage and a rogue. Now, she has no social graces whatsoever. She is, yes, she is a mage hunter. She was born and bred to be a mage hunter. And so when her mother was rescued, she went back and got her child from the harpies. Okay? And brought her down to us. And she is now a quest giver, okay, for the GA. She will be living underwater because she can breathe underwater, um, off the coast, in between the Queen's Castle and the Hall of Arms. Okay, and she will be available to give quests to players. Okay, especially quests that involve the deep roads. Okay, you can still get to it. You know, it's just underwater, and it's not like she only breathes water, so she can come out. Obviously, she's standing here. She can come out anytime she wants. Okay. Now, when you're interacting with her, she's gonna she's gonna kind of act a little bit like Alice in Wonderland. Okay, or Alice from Alice in Wonderland, because she's not familiar with humans or elves or all the other peoples. She has no social graces. She only knows what the books that she had access to and the harpies taught her. Okay, so everything is all new to her. Everything real is now real. Before it was just in books. Okay, so it's exactly opposite of of all of us in real life. Because for all of us in real life, you know, elves, dragons, etc., they're all from books. Okay, movies, etc., etc. All right, but people are real. All right. Well, for her, it's the opposite. Okay. She's familiar with she's familiar with monsters and magic. What she's not familiar with are people. Okay? So just keep that in mind. It's got a lot of potential for role play. There's a lot that can be done there, but entirely depends on all of you. Okay? And I have given her access to the outside world. So if you have a quest that you think would be cool for her to give, you know, talk to her about it. Okay? And she will be able to pass those out. Okay? No, Drusilla is not Mage Hunter from birth. Uh, Selena is because she was raised by harpies that were rogues and mages. So that's what they knew. So that's why she is that way. Okay. You are welcome to talk to her about it. You know, I think that's a great idea. If she's willing to go that extra mile, sweet. Okay. That is an excellent thing. Now I've already talked to her about, uh, whether or not she has to be in the Mage Guild and the Rogues Guild, and that's entirely up to her. Okay, because knowledge is power. The more we know, the better we are. But as I told one of my parents this morning for a client, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him think. That's entirely up to them. Right? And the young lady that chose to play this character already is a good role player. That's why I asked her in the first place, as because I felt she could pull it off. Yes. And if I know you're great at that, so I completely advocate you passing your knowledge on to this young lady. Okay. Now, with that also said, I will occasionally throw quests her way myself, okay, for people to do. And unlike World of Warcraft or ESO or you know any of EverQuest, any of those things, a quest is not repeatable. Once it's done, it's done. Okay, you actually have effect in the world. When you do a quest, it actually does the job. Okay, Billy Bob can't come on behind you and do the same thing over again. Right? So it's kind of a one and done thing. Okay, answer to your question. Yes, Trinity and Molly are her POCs. Okay, what that means is that yeah, okay, so she can talk to anybody, but you guys are out in the world. Okay, you are part of the world. She merely has her foot in the world, her big toe in the world. Okay, you guys are already part of it, so you're going to hear things. You're going to that she won't know. So you can tell people, all right, X thing. And also, because she's not part of the world and she's not, um, well, let me rephrase that. She has not been part of the world, then she doesn't have familiarity with people. And because you both are aquatic, you are her link to the planet. You're her link to the world. So what you know, I mean, you guys are kind of like her teachers, you know, teaching her what people are like, you know. It's like the job of a kindergarten teacher, except with someone who's a genius. Does that make sense? Well, and still with Molly, you know, Selena's never encountered you know the types of fish and fauna, the flora and fauna of this planet. Okay, so it's still a learning curve that Molly can help her with. Okay, and Molly's a shapeshifter, so that further increases the knowledge that she can pass along. You guys got to figure that out. I mean, that's role play. Okay, the fact that you were one of the first people who, both you and Molly, are some of the first people who reached out to her, makes it kind of a given. But the role play thing. And yes, Molly is a Cecilia, but we all know that she shapeshifts all the time. Okay? Yes, they are different characters, but they have the same mind. And to Selena, who has lived inside of a mind for with her mother. Okay, let me back up a little bit. So since Drusilla dropped Selena off at the Harpies, Drusilla didn't never, hardly ever went to visit her physically. So their relationship has been mental, has, has been their own pocket universe. Okay? Cecilia and Selena are two different people. So Cecilia is a race, okay? And that's what Molly is. My apologies for people who didn't know that. But Celine is Selena. Just to clarify on some of that weird stuff that it picks up. Cecilia is spelled exactly like the name. You know, if you're familiar with the song, that's a that is a race of basically octo mermaids. Okay, which Molly happens to be part of. Now, whether all Molly's characters are different people, that's going to be up. That's up to her. I, I don't know that. I, she's never told me that. So every time I see her walk through the door, I just figure she's a shapeshift into somebody else. You know, and if that is the case, Selena would also think the same way. Okay, if they're not, if they're all different people, all right, that's okay. It's role play. I'm good with it. You know, in which case the Molly one is POC. Does that all make sense? Okay, cool. All right, now I know that Selena is still in the process of building herself because it's a process. We all know that when you're building an avatar, it is a process. But I wanted to give you guys a, a heads up so that you knew that she exists, who she is, and what her function is in society. Okay, I know she was at one of the Queen's teas recently, and that is awesome. Um, and that is normal and proper. It's something that she would do every chance she gets. She's going to go where, depending on however the player wants to do it, but the character would go everywhere that has people, you know. But the player can decide how she wants to roll it. That's not my job, you know. I create the world, not what happens in it, as they say. Okay, it does look like this talk to text thing is working. It seems to be. So if this does work, it's a learning curve for me. But I think so it's I think the amount of editing will be less, but it does mean I will, instead of having to have a translator, I'll need an editor, an editor. to to post these for are hearing impaired because I have been for a long time trying to make it so that we help and everyone, whether you, no matter what school of life you come from. And in theory, this should help the hearing impaired, whether it's because you actually are in real life or you don't have access to speakers. No matter what it is, in theory, this idea should help that. Okay, now, um, I don't want to give everything else away. I mean, that was just the basics. I think everything else you'll need to role play with Selena to learn. Okay? I don't want to take everything off the, how do I put this? I don't want to put everything already in solid stone because we are a role play world. And if you don't have role play in a role play world, then it's kind of like going to a cheese factory that has no cheese. Okay, Jillo Nix, thank you for Belados for coming up here and standing in front of everybody so they can all see you. And you are free to have a seat. Appreciate it. You will note, by the way, if you actually looked at her, that her tentacles are on the back of her head instead of the front. And she has four, just like any other illithid. Okay? But they are on the back of her head instead of the front because she's a half breed. Okay. Now, that was an important thing that I wanted to put out there. Um, next thing I wanted to discuss real fast. Um, I know that Jaluk Stormhammer over there is actively building his safari lands, Kithakor, the Kithakor Forest, and he has added displacer beasts to his owlbears. Are there any other beasties that you have online that you planning on getting or already have? To look Stormhammer? Okay, excellent. What else do we have in the safari out there? Displacer beasts and owlbears we've got. We know that part. Okay, devil foxes. Excellent. So we're looking at the nine-tailed foxes. Kitsune are a hominid race, okay? Whereas the a nine-tailed fox is actually a fox with nine tails. It is uh, it's an outsider, just like displacer beasts and owlbears, but it is not a hominid like kitsune. Kitsune are, how do I put this? They're like werefoxes, spirit werefoxes. Kitsune are to a werefox as a Rakshasa is to a Khajiit. Okay. Yes. So devil foxes, I'm familiar with them. They're they are nine-tailed foxes. Now, just so you know, by the way, all not all nine-tailed foxes have nine tails. Okay. I know it's crazy, right? The Rakshasa and Owlbear thing. Um, Not all nine-tailed foxes have nine tails. The number of tails they have depict the amount of power that they have. Okay, they could only have, they might only have one tail. Okay, okay, all right. So that's good. So we now have nine-tailed foxes, owlbears, and displacer beasts in Kithakor. Uh, are are you planning on getting hippogriffs, griffins? Uh, those are the first two that come to mind. I can think of a few others. You know, ah, there we go. So that is exactly my question, and that's why I put you on the spot here. My apologies, Jaluk Stormhammer. Is for people to start thinking, hey, what magical beasts do we not see that could be showing up? All right. That's why I didn't name every one of them that I could think of. But I will name one more that I would really love to see. Unicorns. Uh, And I know you may be thinking, hey, you're a dark elf. Why would you like unicorns? Because they're cool. That's the answer. Do I need another reason? I don't think so. You know, unicorns are cool. I like horses. That's why hippogriffs, pegasi, unicorns, nightmares. Shoo. I like nightmares. I have, I think, I have a nightmare in ESO. I had a nightmare in EverQuest. And I've been trying to get a nightmare in World of Warcraft. I have one as a pet because I play a hunter over there, but not one to ride. Excuse me. Anyway, anyway, so the reason I put him on the spot is for I want people to start thinking about what animals, what magical animals or magical beasties should be, could be out there. And if you have a thought, throw those towards him. Okay, his forest is the on his sim. Okay, the Isle of Mano. Yes, he already just listed it there. The Isle of Mano. That is where Kithcore Forest is, and it is a nature preserve. Okay, and because Kithcore Forest is where dark elf dark elves raise owlbears. I talked to him about that a while back, and so Kithcore Forest has been adopted into the Isle of Mano. And that adds cool factor, in my personal opinion. But hey, that's my opinion. Anyway, um, I have a lot in my head that I could throw, but I don't want to be the one doing that. Okay, that's why that's why I put him on the spot right now, because I want people to think about it. Okay. And if you seem to be talking about a nightmare, and wow, if so, I'm going to look that one up. Okay, I can't link, I can't click anything because I'm doing this voice to text thing, and every time I touch my screen, it messes up my voice. All right. Okay. So I brought up Selena, and I brought up Kithcore. Are those two things I wanted to discuss? Uh, I want to bring up the the overall arching, where we have the tentacles sliding out of the sky and dropping bad guys for people to fight. Okay, that be because they are attempting to eradicate the world. Okay, Jill Thorne posted a picture, a painting was done in the 1900 style. Okay, where it has you know an aberration coming through the sky and in an entirely innocent location. of the world. It was excellent. And if you have not seen it, yes, if post that. Because if you have not seen it, you should. I mean, it's amazing. Um, it kind of reminds me of uh, of the painting In the Park. If you guys are familiar with some of the early artists from the 19th century. But it's very good. Um, Actually, Jill Thorne, if you could pull that in to the, if you could pull it in World and put it on a board, kind of like the owlbear is over here, because I got a picture of an owlbear to the left there. Somebody put Christmas tree in here. Yay. How about that? Love it. Okay. But um, I will post that. I'll put it up in here somewhere, you know, so people can see it. And again, since I moved my camera, I got knocked out of the voice to text thing. All right. I'm back. Sorry about that part, but I guess it wasn't important information anyway. We were just talking about posting pictures. Okay. Anyway, so it just helps for people to visualize this invasion force that is occurring, because it's so behind the scenes that it doesn't have to affect your daily lives if you don't want it to. Okay, it's entirely up to every player on how it affects their lives. Okay, because the shield we put up, it makes it so that your regular life just can continue on forward, and you only deal with the villains on battle day. But there is so much role play that you can do in between battles if you want. Okay? I know that some people are working on storylines. Uh, and I'll be curious to see where they go with that. You know, I know that there's the one storyline about you know blocking out the sun, and Star has a plan that she's working on. Nif has a plan he's working on. You know, I know that there are other role plays going out there. Okay, feel free to do those. Okay, just because it's not in your face, like the Purple Rain or some of the others that I have had rolling out there in the past. Just because it's not in your face every day doesn't mean you can't role play with it. That means it's up to you. And it means that every single player, yes, please, Jill Thorne, on a prim. Yeah, we can set up the painting in here somewhere. I'll figure out. I might have the librarians. None of them are on right now, I don't think, but I can ask them to come on. I can ask them to come on and find a good place for it. If I haven't done it myself. Anyway, so that's also, a significant thing that I want to discuss. The next battle is not, you know, storyline. Okay, it's not, you know, part of the overall. But yes, but it'll be cool. The next battle in the storyline is going to be in January. Okay, and it will be a role play event. Okay, so I'll be doing it in GARP, which means I'll be doing um, it would be a role play event. For those of you that have not joined any of the role play battles, basically, I play Dungeon Master just like I do. But you guys sit in your chairs. I have pictures of the enemies up, and we roll dice, and I tell you what's going on. Okay, and I can handle up to 250 people. So as long as it's less than that, you're golden. Don't worry about it. As many of you can show up as you want. Okay, but the fun battle is going to be a winter event where we have uh, snowmen attacking peoples. Okay, and if the Christmas box of weapons is not sitting in front of my uh, at the entrance to the library anymore, then I will ask Rathmius to put it back because basically, I think basically you've got candy cane swords. Um, and things. Uh, maybe it was Balder. Okay, I have to look. My apologies. I'm good, but I'm not perfect. I can't even remember everything that's in that box. I just know I remember candy cane swords. Um, but it was fun, and we are going to do a version of that this year. Last year we did Christmas Trents. This year we're going to do snowmen. Okay, and who knows? Maybe next year we'll do reindeers. That's right. They're going to be snow elementals. You know, it will be fun. Okay. Yep. Does anybody know what an evil druid is even called? If you've been around long enough, you've heard me talk about it. It is. That's right. It's a blight druid. Absolutely. See? Not everything I say falls on deaf ears. Okay. So we discussed Selena. We discussed Kithcore. We discussed the painting. I want to turn my camera to go look at it, but I can't because if I do, it will mess up the voice to text thing. So I'll just have to see it after class. Um, we talked about in January we're going to have our next role play battle. It will be a GARP event, okay? And I'm not sure where it's going to be hosted. You know, I've been doing it in the deep roads because I already have the pictures of the NPCs up there, and I have chairs for people to sit, and I have a chair for me to be in. So, you know, most likely that's what it's going to be. But I'm open if a sim would like to host that event, let me know, and maybe we'll do that. We'll see. Okay. Um, but I'm open to it. Otherwise, where I'm set up is probably where I'll do it. And then so we discussed that, and this next battle is going to be a fun battle. You know, um, candy canes, candy corns, snowmen. Okay. Any questions about anything we've discussed or anything beyond that? You know, yep, Nif's getting up there like me. You know, you know. It's funny because I can remember when uh, SL first started. Everything we built was like Lego blocks. There were no curves. There were no anythings. Okay, and everything were built out of squares. So obviously, we didn't have hair um, until they started allowing us to uh, to chop the squares, and then you could make triangles. And so everybody had pointed hair, like like on a uh, like on um, Final Fantasy or something. Yeah, like the Final Fantasy anime, if you see, you see all how their hair is all pointy and stuff. When we finally were able to make hair, that's how it was. Because before that, you know, everybody had bowl cuts. Male, female, didn't matter. You had hair like Lego people. You know, it's just you know, uh, solid mass on top of your head, and that was your hair. And yeah, Naruto has the spiky hair thing too. But even before that, it was more like Lego hair. But anyway, you know, that's how it was when I started. Okay, so let's see here. Anyway, my apologies. Are there any questions about anything that we have discussed today or things that we haven't discussed and you would like to know the answer to? Ah, Jill Thorne's is good. She's square. She doesn't have anything. Anybody else? Okay. Jill Spellhunter square. Jill Sinclair square. Jill Air square. All right. Sounds like everybody's good then. Okay. Well, in that case, I will go ahead and close this and let you, you know, turn off the seatbelt sign to let you all roam about the cabin. If you do end up having questions, there are uh, anyone who is there are a variety of people who have contact with me out of world. But not only that, I also have my Discord always open. Okay, so unless I'm with a client, if I get something, if I get a question in Discord, I will answer. Okay. Um, NIF can help you if you're not in our Discord group. NIF can help you get there, and do pass that on to other people because you know people talk to each other, and you it also gives you access to me if you and I can answer questions. And every once in a while, when I'm in the mood and I have time, I do weird stuff in our Discord thing, like uh, ask questions, and if you get the answer, you know, I drop you a magic item for it. Just because, you know, it's fun. Also, sometimes when I'm writing a story, I don't have time to be in the world because I don't have access to my computer. Yes, I do have a laptop, but I don't always open that thing. I'm bad. Um, anyway, but will still, I will still type up my thoughts in Discord sometimes. I have a little, I have a section in there called Magician's Corner where a lot of times you know, I'll just prose in there, which will gives people things to think about and all that jazz. Okay, now with all that said, I will go ahead and oh wow, I don't even know at what point it got disconnected, so my apologies. Anyway, I'll go ahead and close this. Baldas for your attendance. Vindas for now.